Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode on the HighLevel Experience Podcast. Our guest today is a dynamic force in the world of community engagement and marketing automation. With a background that spans professional dancing, coaching, and music, she's taken her passion for connecting and applied it to the digital space. She's built a career helping entrepreneurs cultivate thriving online communities where members feel seen, heard, and valued. But here's the twist. Standing at just 5 feet, she's a powerhouse both online and offline, raising twins alongside her older daughter, serenading them with her ukulele each night, and all while managing her hilarious 200-pound mastiff. She's embraced her ADHD as a superpower, using it to fuel her creativity and innovative approach to business. And today, she's here to share her 3-step framework for community engagement. So get ready for some game-changing insights. Please welcome to the show, Jade Olivia.
No. I'm like cheering myself on. We need like a sound effect or something.
We definitely do. Yeah, I've got my stream. Like, I've got to configure that. It would be fun. Yeah, definitely. Right. Jay, you've got such a unique journey from coaching varsity dance teams to becoming a leading expert in online community engagement. How did that transition happen for you? Like, what sparked your passion for helping entrepreneurs build thriving communities?
Yeah, well, the dancing and cheer career was pretty funny. So, I mean, since there's an international audience here, I used to cheer for the India Premier League cricket tournament. So, go RCB. I love cricket. I love Australia, by the way. And, that was something that I mean, to be quite honest, I aged out of it. You can only do that for so long. And then, I kind of had a bunch of odd jobs for a long time. And I was one of those like late diagnosed ADHD. So kind of was failed at life and was very aimless for a long time. And, it was this classic case of like, you must be lazy because you're so smart. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And then I kind of ripped off all the Band-Aids at once when COVID happened. While the world was shutting down, I quit my job. I left my husband. I started single parenting, moved into an apartment. I'd never lived alone before. I married my college sweetheart. I just was sick of my life, just failure after failure after failure, and including my marriage, which, not his fault. So I started over and started my own business because in my previous, crappy job, I learned how to automate because they bought Infusionsoft, now known as Keep.
And so Confusionsoft?
Yeah, exactly. So they bought it and I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I started taking courses and meeting the entrepreneur and automation community. I was like, there's something here. So when all of that went down in 2020, I was like, I'm good at this. So I got certified, and once you kind of dip your toes in this, then you kind of for a couple of years say yes to everything until you figure out what you're good at. And I landed in community management and thus consulting in this area because I'm sure you can tell I'm pretty social.
Yeah.
Wow, I love this. This is my ideal situation. Hanging out, having a good time with entrepreneurs. This is the best time. And so I started doing that I started community managing and being really supportive in automation communities. That's why I love the HighLevel community. They're very active, very supportive. That's the kind of place that I want to be. So I started community managing. And what you guys will find out today as I share all of this information with you is that business best practices, specifically automation and community journey best practices, are exactly the same as community best practices. So you'll see a lot of ties, and I hope that gives all of you watching or listening today a lot of confidence, because there's going to be a lot of light bulbs moment where you're like, oh, that makes so much sense over here. I just never applied it over here. So you guys are going to get a lot of great information that I'm positive you'll be able to act on because you are automators and you understand how things should talk to each other and make sense to the customer so that they feel seen, heard, and loved. Well, that's what we do in communities. And I'm just really excited to share all that with you today.
Well, I'm very excited to hear all that as well, because when you hear the word community, we've all been part of Facebook groups. All of us entrepreneurs are like, if you're not, I don't know if you're living under the rock, but Facebook groups is where it's been at. Now we have obviously amazing communities that you can do through HighLevel. There's obviously other platforms like School and whatnot, but obviously HighLevel is the way, I think. Anyway, the question is to you is why, okay, we know the obvious, but what do we don't know about like the real value of like driving community? What are the benefits of doing this?
Yeah. So I think in some ways it was when I first started getting really confident in consulting in this area, instead of just managing, it felt like a hard sell for a while because number one, I had to really dial in my messaging because I had that classic business owner problem where I'm like, well, I'm good at it, so I don't really know how to explain it to people who aren't good at it. So, but I had to figure that out.
It's the nerdy thing, right? We dive in deep into those automations, and we are all excited. But like, how do you translate that to an understandable message?
Yeah, 1,000%. But also, like I said, there's a lot of commonalities between automation and using robust tools like HighLevel has. And so once I started kind of getting my feet wet and explaining it to people, it really, really took off. So there's a lot of really great stuff you guys will be able to act on today.
Well, let's dive into it. So where do we start?
Well, let's start with the problem, right? Because again, business best practices, right? We got to start with the problem and kind of really kind of find that commonality so people understand the urgency and the importance of it. And the problem is that, especially when it comes to stuff like HighLevel, they're like, and there's community. And community tends to be really, especially since COVID, is really trendy, right? You're like, oh, I'm an online coach. I'm an online marketer, so like I'm going to do these things and there's community. I have an online course and there's community, and people keep adding it because they're fun and popular. And community is just one of those things that's like by nature. We all live in communities, whether they're digital or not. We tend to flock to people with whom we share either business or values, or, could be local, could be online, right? So, however, as with trendy things, and it doesn't matter if you're using HighLevel or school or whatever, this is actually all platform agnostic, but I can speak to the HighLevel issues, obviously. But as with trendy things, people screw it up. Everyone starts doing it, and then they realize that it's not just this easy, fun thing that happens naturally. Because in the real world, like you go to middle school and you start to, to kind of click up and you meet your friends and you kind of flock to each other. It's not that way with business. It's especially not that way with business. So if let's say I have an online course and then I'm like, oh, I have this great information and people buy it. And I'm like, and there's community, but for what purpose? So what usually happens is I find almost all business communities suffer one of these two problems. It's either really awkward and quiet. So the business owners tries to shake things up in the same way that they would do social media. They post, they try to get engagement. They try to kind of push some activity in there, and it's weird. Or people can have the opposite problem where it's just out of control, because without having control of the narrative and telling people what to talk about, the conversation can get spammy, can get out of control, if you don't have a lock on that, it can turn into like a public customer service. You have a PR problem all of a sudden. So I think that the mission that I want to share with the world, and when I first met you, you heard me passionately. Like I want to scream this from the rooftops. So thank y'all for listening and watching this today, because this is the message I want the whole world to hear. Stop treating your business's online community like social media. Don't post on it. Like that is not what you should be doing. And I hope that you guys are like, oh my God, I'm doing that. That's what's wrong. Because at the end of the day, and here's why I'm saying this. Here's the distinguishing factor. Social media is where you're in the spotlight, where you're on the pedestal and you're sharing great information, and people will connect with it and they'll engage, they'll like, they'll comment, they'll post, they'll share, so on and so forth. Online communities, specifically for business, are the opposite. That is where they're in the spotlight. That is where they are talking and connecting under the umbrella of your thought leadership, but it is not a place for you to show up and talk. So I really draw a hard line between your Facebook fan page, for example, or your TikTok or your Instagram account for your business. That is the complete opposite strategy that you want to be employing in your online community, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's in HighLevel. Again, this is platform agnostic because it's best practices. So that's my message. Everyone spread the word.
I mean, this is such a good distinction, and also a common sense, right? Like, same sort of principle applies to websites, right? It's so many business owners, they put their websites, and it's like you get on a long landing page, and it's like, here are our services, here are our products, here's how this product is awesome, but it's talking about them and their products and services and their offering. It's not talking to the avatar. I like to have this analogy of like you're in a theater, right? If you go in a show, you sit in the audience, you can be looking at the stage, you pay the ticket to look at the actors on the show, right? So they're in the spotlight. Exactly. And so businesses kind of approach the websites the same way. They think like the website's the stage, but all you need to do is just take the lights and just turn them around and light the audience.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I like to make the comparison very comparable to what you're saying is instead of lecture hall, think Montessori. Like, it's not where everyone's staring at you. It's where everyone's working together. It's like the difference between going to a concert, again, like a theater, watching the performance on stage, or you going to a conference. And I would love to see all y'all at high-level conferences. I'm actually 4'8". I'm 142 centimeters. So you will see me there. I'm not hard to spot. But while we're there, like, conferences are strategically planned so that people can connect. It's not like you go to the high-level concert and all you do is watch keynote stages and you don't look at the people around you. They have activities, they have parties, they put the alcohol right in the middle so people gather, they dance, they have networking events, they have booths where you're kind of forced to talk to people. So we're going to throw a lot of metaphors out today, so I'm going to keep them coming.
So I take that you've just been to Level Up Summit then.
Yeah.
Awesome. I've been the one a year prior, and I'm going again this year. So it is awesome. Yeah, guys, I highly recommend it. Level Up Summit. The one that's going to be happening this year in October is going to be huge. They've actually relocated to a new venue as well. So yeah, keep an eye out on the emails, guys. It's pretty exciting. But back to you, Jade. So let's dive into this topic more. Let's unpack it. So communities are very, very powerful. Whatever the platform, principles apply pretty much the same. How do we then make it successful? If you say, well, don't post there, so like, okay, what do I do then if I'm not supposed to post? Like, how do people structure that?
Oh, I love that. I'm sure you didn't plan that, but that was such a perfect segue. So let's jump in. So as Vic kind of mentioned, I do have like a 3-step framework that I follow that obviously, when I'm working with my consulting clients, we do like a deep dive when we workshop until it's perfect for implementation. But I can absolutely lay out the entire process. I'm not going to hold anything back. So y'all going to get the entire thing. So it's
guys, you guys ready? Yeah. Take your notes. Start taking notes.
Get your pens. It's going to be awesome. So the 3 steps, and these don't belong to community. It's just how I arrange my thoughts, I guess. It's define, design, deploy. I mean, like I said, you can apply that to launching your business, to designing a website. You have to figure out what you're doing. Then you have to strategically figure out the implementation of it. And then you have to act.
It's like the rule of 5 Ps, right? You know that one.
Yeah, exactly. No, the exact same thing. And the reason that I kind of clump it into those 3 sections, and also the reason I said you had such a great headway into this, is because the first thing, and you cannot skip this, even if you already have a community, is define. You hit the nail on the head. What are they going to talk about? Well, we need to figure out, firstly, what's the point? Don't just add community because it's trendy, unless it's really going to serve people. I've had prospects approach me and I said, you don't want or need a community. And I didn't work with them because if it just confused, they had like courses and speaking and workshops and community and this and that and this and this. And it was like, and I'm like, well, okay, this bucket for community, like what purpose does that serve? Does it elevate the other features or does it confuse, right? Like it's like going into one of those diners with like a 50-page menu and you're like, everything looks good. So I guess it'll take me 10 hours to eat and I'll starve. Take me 10 hours to eat what I want. So, they say a confused mind never buys. Yeah. And so like I would never, it would be very overwhelming to go to a website that was like, hey, this is Jade Olivia.co and she sells blah, 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 and there's community. It doesn't make sense. So only have one if it serves a function in your business. So that's another thing to think about is like, What's the point? Where does it stand in relation to your entire product menu, value ladder, timing? Is it a free community? It's a lead magnet, so you can educate people into buying a larger offer. Is it a back end community? So maybe when someone finishes your course, it's the continuity product. Maybe it's like the VIP offer and it's a small community for exclusivity. And you can already see in these examples, there's a bunch of different types. So I'm not recommending that you A, have to have one in the first place, and B, have to have this kind and do it this way. It has to serve a purpose, right?
Yeah.
So that's the define part. You have to figure out. And then once you even figure out that you're going to have one, and I decide it's going to be an accountability, it's going to serve for accountability purposes and forum style. So I want them to ask each other questions instead of me, because when they are my coaching clients, they pay for an hour a week, and that's when they answer questions. And if they ask me other questions, I'm going to point them somewhere else to support each other and build relationships with each other. So that's an example of what you might define your community. And it serves a purpose because it allows people to continue to grow and evolve offline from the coaching sessions and build a family in the process. So that's kind of the define stage. Another analogy or metaphor that I'm going to throw out a lot, and I'll kind of return to it as we progress through the framework, is a birthday party. And you've probably heard me say this one before, but because it's my favorite, it clicks and makes sense. Is if I'm going to have a birthday party, well, I need to define some things first. I need to tell people it's my birthday party. So like that kind of triggers some familiarity in people. They're like, oh, we're going to go and celebrate Jade's birth. I know that she's aged another year. I should probably bring a gift, but then there's still some question marks. In the same way, if I said, oh, I'm a consultant and I have community, cool. Okay, there's community. I get the general idea, but okay, what do I do there? Mm-hmm. So you have to be a little bit more clear on the definition. The party, this is my address. This is the time. It's going to be, I'm going to say out loud, it's a big party. It's not a small, intimate thing. So there may be some people there that you might not have met. It's appropriate to bring gifts. It's at 8 p.m. Don't show up at 7. You got to tell people the information so that they know exactly what they're walking into in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So purpose is where we start, right? Because prior preparation prevents poor performance as well. We then need to look at the execution. So that is actually almost like the next critical thing to it, right? How do you execute the launch of it? How do you, the onboarding of the participants joining the community, and obviously the automations, how you leverage from that? Can we unpack that?
Yeah, 100%. No, you're totally on board. I love this flow. This is so good. So, I kept saying earlier that this is very much the same thing as business best practices. So we've covered the define stage. And so, I know you guys, if you're listening to this and you're a serious business owner, we have all seen a bunch of businesses failed because I started the business because I wanted to, not because a bunch of people needed what I have to offer.
Very common. Yeah, we're passionate about our idea, and the world doesn't maybe thinks otherwise.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't really have that ikigai. Like you need people to actually want to pay for it too. Right.
Yeah.
So once we have the definition and we know that it actually serves a purpose and people want and need it, and it will serve a function and make sense, now we can go on to the design phase. And for that, and very much in like the party analogy, it's like, this is when I hire the party planner to handle the logistics and the flow of the room. So it's like, because I personally am not like a great interior designer. So like I would pay a party planner to be like, okay, so the flow of the room, we're going to have the cake over here. It's going to make more sense if the coats go over here. We welcome people. This is the timing so that there's just a really seamless experience inside. And also when it comes to the design, the strategy and how we're actually going to get people to talk to each other, that's what I mean by the party flow, because if you just kind of dump people in a room and don't really have an idea on who's there and how to introduce them, or like at a conference means to get them to gather, then it's just going to be weird and no one's going to talk in your community. Nobody's going to engage because they're just kind of standing there in a room like kind of awkward.
It's like when you go to silent disco, everybody's there for themselves and it's super dead quiet.
Yes, we don't want a silent disco. We want like a real disco with real music, and we're like engaging in the music together. And the fun thing about, I love that you said that, because if I'm dancing at a party, I don't care who's there. We're having fun. So I'm going to be engaged. I'm going to be involved. I'm going to be like, I'm going to be rubbing up on people. I'm going to be fist pumping. I'm going to be doing all the things because there's a purpose. And I understand that when the music plays, that this is an appropriate time to go dance. So you want to do the same thing in your online community. So the way that we actually knock that out strategically, okay, enough with the metaphors, Jade, right? Is that there's a couple really important things when we're laying out the strategy for engagement. Number one is data, which I'm sure like all of us watching or listening to this are somewhat nerds, and we love a good spreadsheet and tags and segmentations and, all those things. But at the end of the day, like what is a relationship? What is a friendship? Like that met me and was like, oh, I value this thing about Jade, and I think I want to share this with my audience. And I learned about him, and I value these things about him. And I'm sure that if I get stuck on a HighLevel question, I know who to talk to, because that's a piece of data. I know that he knows HighLevel. I know that he has an audience. And so that's valuable, as that's just all what a friendship or a relationship is. It's things you know about people, and you remember those things, and you decide if you like them or not.
There's some connection as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so I'm going to give you one of my juiciest tips and secrets today, as I used to do a lot more community management, but as this methodology really started to take off and really be effective, I can't be everybody's community manager. So this is when I started teaching this, right? So I'm going to give you one of my juiciest bits today. When it comes to data, so a really great community manager, for example, they actually have good relationships with everyone in the community, enough to be a great party host, enough to, walk into a room at my party and be like, oh my God, Bit, Mark, you guys are both from Australia. I can't believe this. You guys should totally hang out, because I know those details about you, because I'm the host of the party. I know everybody, but I know y'all don't know each other. And it's my job to kind of call on those details that I know about you and make connections on purpose, so that you guys can go off to the races. But you guys might be sharing stories about me, because it's my party. That's the purpose of you being there. That's the define. That's the objective. So here's my tip. This is how a great community manager can actually store all of that data and recall it easily, either by memory or by checking your saved searches or your tags or your segmentation data in your CRM. It's actually quite easy, and it makes people feel seen, heard, and loved when you can call on things about them. Like, what if 10 years from now I was like, Bit, remember that one time we did this show and we talked about HighLevel? You'd be like, oh my gosh, that was so great. That was 10 years ago. I can't believe you remembered that. This is how you can do that in a community. I largely only track 2 pieces of data on everyone in my community. And because it's two pieces, I visualize a grid. I, thinking like vertical and horizontal lines, like a grid. I call it a data grid. On the vertical plane, so going up in straight lines, going left to right, I consider that like your community's version of your customer journey, right? Like how do you track or measure people when they first enter, and how do you measure their progress through? Every business, zooming out, should have a customer journey that's planned and automated and strategically executed and prompted so people move forward. Your community is the same way. So if you know that, you can have automations and workflows in place that automatically update people so that data gets freshly updated. You can either send out like surveys, or let's say you have an online course. So I track people in my community based on their course progress, or maybe how they're, progressing through my coachings. If you're a level 0 coach, then you're level 0 in my data grid. If you've completed module 1 in my course, I know that you're a module 1. If you've completed module 2, then I know you're a level 2 in my community. So that the tags, as people progress through your journey, will let you know, or however, whatever custom field you're going to use to segment that person. That's a really easy way to track. It's just genuinely data. Number 1 is their progression in the community, and you can
the learning journey. Okay, great.
Exactly. And, it could be their show of influence. So maybe they've learned enough to start helping other people, so that, there might be some nuance to it. Just depends on what your product is and how your business runs. But generally, the vertical axis the horizontal axis is really just tracking their progress through your business.
Yep.
So that's pretty simple. Now, when it comes to the vertical lines going up and down, that's how you categorize and segment them. So let's say I'm a coach for chefs, right? And I can track people as they achieve more and more progress in learning how to cook well, how to be a great chef. They've mastered skills, and that's easily trackable. But when it comes to like the other axes on the grid, are you a French chef? Are
Right.
you
That's segmentation. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
exactly? So those are the only two things I really need to know. And here's some real live examples. And I see this all the time with the really smart people in the high level community. If Vit were to post and say, oh my gosh, I'm really struggling with trying to get my community to be engaged. Like there's a lot of great stuff in there and they're just not talking to each other. A really great community manager would be like, oh, Jade, what do you think about that? Because they know that I'm good at high level. They know I'm an expert automator and they know that I'm great at community. So those are the two pieces of data. They know why I know high level because I'm in the community industry. That would be my vertical axes. And they know that I'm a great automator because I've been doing this for a very, very long time. And people pay me to set up automations, So those are things that are easily tracked. And then I would feel so honored if somebody commented on Vit's post and was like, Jade, I know you know the answer to this. What do you think? That's what a great community manager does. A great community manager, or whether, it's your own community, maybe you're a solopreneur, you don't post and talk at people. Again, that's what your social media is for. But in your community, it's for them to talk. And I'll get to that next. What are they going to talk about? That's my second piece. Yeah, for sure.
So I want to stop you there. So the tracking aspect is what helps you then. Obviously, you can do so much, right? You can different channels based on segments and different awards. But the segmentation, sorry, not the segmentation, but the hierarchy, like what level is everybody at? You do it based on. I'm just kind of reiterating what you're saying for the listeners as well. But the way I understood it is so based on what courses they've done or which lessons they've completed. Now there's also engagement aspect, isn't it? Like in the communities in high level, you also have a leaderboard based on engagement, right? How many likes and comments and all those. Do you do anything on that front?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what I pulled from your sort of recap was you can also leverage gamification to get people engaged as well, right? Leaderboards and notifications when someone comments on your material and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So all of those things kind of feed into it because the beauty of it, even I'm going to combine both his and my examples here. If, I'm inside of Vit's businesses community and someone posts a question, a really great community manager would not just comment the answer. And let's be honest, if you hire a community manager or if it's your community, you do know the answer. But it makes way more sense for a community strategy to not just answer, but to be like, oh, this is what I think. What do you think, Jade? And then when the other people start being tagged and brought in on purpose by a strategic community minded, manager, well, that's going to pump up the engagement on the post. That's going to amplify all of the gamification you have in place, like the leaderboards, like the notifications being kicked out because someone commented on my post and so on and so forth. So the more a community manager strategically knows to call on that data and stoke the fire of those conversations, the more those features in your communities are going to light up because people are talking and you're not just talking at them.
Wait, so like if a client A posts a question, I would put in a comment about like I tag another client that I know that may know the answer. So then I would chip in a part of this, like part of the answer to the question, but then still like expand on. I get it. Yeah.
And this isn't just like deferring attention from you. It's genuinely better because even though I'm in Vit's community, because I follow Vit's methodology and I believe in what he's doing and I want to learn from him, I would actually likely get more value from someone else answering my question and not you, Vit, because someone else has recently been in my shoes. They know what it's like to not be you. They know what it's like to want to be you. They know they are also in this learning path with me. And so, yes, you and I both know a lot about automation. We would both answer someone else's automation question differently because we're different humans. We're on other sides of the planet from each other, for crying out loud. My life experiences, my business experiences are different. So even if we had the exact same knowledge set, the way that we share it and the way we disseminate that information and use it to support people is going to be different. And that is why community is so freaking valuable, especially in the business space, because it's shared knowledge. It's not just one person barking at me.
Yeah. Plus, it's a leverage, right? If you can talk, well, now you actually, allowing them to be the expert, allow them to validate that they know it, and their confidence goes up, and now they can feel like they're providing value to another member, and now because I guess that's the whole point, right? You want to foster a community where it's actually self-sufficient thing, and then you just, like chipping in, but like they helping each other. And that's where that's genius, because like you get a true leverage, right?
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. And like, you guys, this is business best practices anyway. So let's get to the second half of the design part. And, you've mentioned this a few times, so I'm ready to reveal the secret now. What do they talk about, when, why, and how do we get them to do that?
Yeah, well, before we get into that, I wanted to ask you this. So we're kind of shifting into like now they're part of it and doing these things, but on the onboarding aspect, like I've been a member of different groups. I've been a member of groups that do it really well, and they also have like this really smart a flow, like a weekly flow. Like Monday is like a hand raiser, and Tuesday it's these days, and then when Thursday is a bit of a mini webinar, and then Friday is just a follow up. But that was more like a lead gen type of group, right? But structure nevertheless, right? And it seems like it worked. But so we can think of like how we would approach the design of the onboarding. Like you can have automatically tagging people on a welcome post. I don't know if you can do it in GHL, but whatever. But like you could design the introduction process. But how far should you design to a perfection before you launch? Because you might not know if that's the right approach, or is it better to just launch it and just try as you go? Like, is there a particular onboarding process that you found just works in general for everybody?
Yeah. And in fact, a really great and engaging onboarding process, not just like it serves a purpose and I'm done with it, but like if you strategically design your onboarding process to get them used to engaging, talking, meeting other people, asking other people questions, and learning from other people's questions, and training them that they're also supposed to answer other people's questions. Those are the best kinds of onboarding experiences. And that's just one of, I don't know if you're like reading my mind, Vic, but that's literally what I'm about to talk about right now. So
okay.
Yeah,
I stole your thunder.
You're like leading up to it. It's perfect. So the second half of the design stage, where you get people to actually do the talking, is what I like to call, my clients and I sit down and we make at least a 3 line item list of what I call strategic calls to action. We all know what calls to action are. You don't make a sales page without a call to action that's very, very clear. Click here, do this next because, right? Think about, there are dozens, and I'm not exaggerating, dozens of reasons you can get people to talk in your business's online community right now if you just pay attention. If you can kind of dig through your workflows that you have set up, open up all of your emails, look at all of your landing pages, websites, funnels, all that stuff. Open those bad boys up and see if you can spice in a call to action to also go engage in the community. Onboarding is one of the many, many items that we'll strategically dial in together. When I'm sitting down with my clients, we just make a whole list. And so that's why I get tickled when people are like, oh, my community is so quiet, I don't know how to get them to talk. And I'm like, well, I'll give you 15 right now for free, like onboarding, right? And to answer your question more specifically, no, I don't have a secret recipe, because everybody's business is so different. It could be, like you said, a free community. It could be a very expensive community. It could be in Go High Level. It could be in school. It could be on LinkedIn. So there's a lot of limitations and my ability to answer that. But I do want to hammer on that onboarding is a very common, I think we could all, if I asked, someone who wasn't great at community, what's an opportunity to get people to talk?
Yeah.
Right.
And you have this honeymoon period, right? People are excited at the beginning. And if you don't like capitalize on that, you miss that opportunity.
Yeah. So think about, the party, right? And in that scenario, I don't just open the door and say, okay, everyone come in, and then I just like leave. Right. But at the same time, I'm not inviting people to my birthday party. And this is not what I'm doing. Okay, everyone, it's my birthday party. Everyone sit down and watch me, and I'm going to talk about my birth. It's my birthday party. Like, why wouldn't I do that? No, because a party is where people talk to each other, not for me to just shout at them. Your community should be the same way. So what does a great party planner, what does a great host do? They cook up a bunch of reasons to get people to talk. The same thing at a conference, the same thing at all of these different metaphors, right? So here's some examples right off the bat where you can get people to talk in your community. There's chronological timely events. So let's say, you have like your marketing Monday, or you have a schedule of events. I live stream every Thursday, hop on the call, right? I could think of at least 5 strategic prompts to get people to go engage, not talk to you, but talk to each other in the community, just from a weekly live stream. Hey, I'm about to, I'm scheduling next quarter's weekly live streams. What do you guys want to learn about? Post that in the community, or ask one of your sort of like senior members in your community, ask them to start a thread. Be like, hey, I'm looking forward to next quarter. See how I'm prompting people to start other conversations? That's two. Not me posting. Number two is asking someone else to post, hey, I'm looking forward to all of these live streams. Here's some ideas of what we would like to learn. What else do you guys think? It doesn't even have to be me posting that. I could say, hey, this is the topic for tomorrow's live stream. What are some common misconceptions? And by the way, in these examples, it doesn't have to be me posting. I could send out a mass text using my Twilio through my Go High Level. Be like, hey, click on this, and click on this link and fill out this form because we're having an Ask Me Anything tomorrow. And post in the community what your biggest problem is right now. So like I'm trying to train everyone to develop a tick. Like you should end every thought in your business, whether it's a coaching call, whether it's a website, whether it's an email, whether it's a text, literally every single little nugget in your business is an opportunity to be like, oh, and post in the community and be specific. I mean, I'm being a little passe right now, but like tell them, what to post, what to ask, be specific, include a video, include a screenshot, right? Customer service is a great opportunity to post in the community. If someone asks you a question, P.S., you should never be answering people's questions for free in your inbox. Say like, hey, I love this question. Go post it in the community because not only will I answer, but actually my friend Vit knows a lot about more about that than I will. And I want everyone to chime in because there's a bunch of different ideas and I want you to hear from the collective.
Yeah. Again, going back to the leverage, right? The whole point of that is leverage. Like if you start getting everybody just doing the DMs, it's like, oh guys, come on.
Exactly. If you should probably have, I don't know if you guys do, but you should have a workflow in your app for some looping customer service campaigns, right? Like once a quarter, drop them into an automation that's saying a workflow that's saying, hey, but instead of sending a quarterly email that's like, hey, how are you happy? Yes or no? Or, some sort of NPS rate me.
Oh, like a feedback. Yeah.
Yeah. But instead of that, say, hey, you're receiving your quarterly customer service check-in. Where were you a quarter ago? Go post in the community how much you've learned since 3 months ago. And secondly, go comment. Now that you've matured 3 more months, you are also responsible for the collective. So go find someone else's.
I like that.
To go answer.
I like that. So I don't have the feedback aspect. I've got it on the cards, but what I've done is I built this weekly growth check email, right? And it's kind of a bit of a shameless pitch for my SaaS agency system. By the way, I do offer it as a premium snapshot. But anyway, this is what I built about 6 months ago. So we've been hearing Sean Clark how he in his previous business, the Sherpa invoice Sherpa, I think it's called, that he sold before he went on and put together High Level with the other guys. He says that one thing that he did that tremendously helped reduce churn was sending out performance reports, like automated performance reports, right? So that's what he's keep reminding us, like we have this. If you go to agency level, you can schedule reports that go out to the customer, tell them any red flags, how many customers, how many replies you have. And that's automated and you don't have to worry about it. So I'm like, that's great. So I want to make sure that my customers that are actively using, are actively logging in. And that's a bit of a segue from the communication, but I'll bring it back in. Don't worry.
No, I'm following. Yeah.
It's just kind of go into following up what you said, like having a workflow. So you get a weekly email basically that tells you, hey, how are you tracking this week? Here, if you're bombarded with a million other things in your business, and you just can't think of what to do with the platform, here are at least like the 4 backbone things that we recommend, like the most 4 essential things. Check your opportunities, check your inbox, schedule some socials, and send out a couple of review requests, like at the bare minimum, like if you just like brain is hazy and whatnot, right? So we send them this. Then we also say, hey, by the way, are you receiving the weekly reports? Click here and you can request and text them to like a funnel page that we build with a form, and they can request and they can say, I want it weekly, or I want it, whatever. But I didn't want that to be like every week the same email like that, because it'd be boring. So what I did is I structured 4 of them, and they cycle around every month. So the first one that goes out at the beginning of the month goes, hey, how did you go last week? And more importantly, how did you go last month? Did you hit all your goals? Now would be a good time to self-reflect, just make some notes, strategize what you're going to do forward. Now, going forward, what you want to hit this month, let us know, click here, and they can actually submit their goal in via a form.
Mhm.
And then we say, we're going to do our best to keep you accountable to it. And then it goes, week 2, like, hey, it's week 2. And then week 3, hey, you got one more week before we wrap up the month. Are you tracking? And then I think I've got in one of the emails, or 2 of those emails each month, it's like, hey, I've got some time on Wednesday. Would you want to book a one-on-one? Let's go over stuff. But I don't have that. Into the community, the linkage. So that's,
I mean,
that's
you
really
already
good.
have the foundation. And the beauty of this is that, again, if you're a high level fan and you're watching, listening to this, you already have a lot of this stuff. You know what we're talking about. So I'm not saying like start over, get a whole new app and do it better this time. I'm saying open up everything you have and just sprinkle in a call to action. Customer service, chronological stuff, independent action is in a whole nother vein where we could drop in calls to action. Because again, like if I sign up for your course and I log into your community section in your app and I'm taking Vit's course and I finish module 1, well, your high level app's going to know that it can trigger automation that I've logged in or that I've completed a module. Well, instead of just saying good job, now go do module 2, say you've completed module 1. Go post in the community what surprised you the most or what was hard, because we want to make the coursework better for you, right? There's so many opportunities to just ask people to talk. And every time someone talks, every time someone shares, every time someone connects, here's the beauty of it. You mentioned churn earlier. I act as community manager for, a handful of communities, and some of them are Keep related and some of them are high level related. Mm-hmm. And in the Keep ones, there's one that I've managed for many years, and it's like home. Like if the rest of the internet disappeared and all I had was this one Facebook group, it's called Monkey Pod Marketing, and we also serve high level in there, by the way. If the whole internet disappeared, I would just love it, because it's the best place. We'll all just help each other with business ideas, and it's so supportive, and we all know each other. It's really, really great. And in that community, as people, before they decided to add in high level content, because you got to make sure you're following business trends, right? People started to cancel. Well, they wanted to cancel their membership because they wanted to join other memberships for high level. We have so many customers that literally don't even use Keep, but stay for the family. If that's not proof of retention and helping reduce your churn, increasing your LTV, and just making so much more money from the MRR because you have people renewing month after month after month, it's amazing. It's so beautiful. So it's a lot of work on the front end to strategically do it. And then the work is done. And all you have to do in the community is like hang out and participate like a member. Be like, oh my God, that's so cool. Great job, Bit. Cool. You can comment, you can like, you can post, because you're not posting in there. You're not going, hey, everyone, what's your favorite soup? It's Monday. Like nobody gives a shit about that. So you just get to hang out because the table's been set. People are being reminded to talk all the time because of all the opportunities to spice that in. I'm talking about this week's live stream. I'm talking about I'm posting about oh my gosh, I just finished module 2. This is so great. So like everybody's talking. They know that they can ask each other. They know they can depend on each other. And then at the end of the day, people stay for the family. Admit it. You're more likely to be a member of a gym if you have a gym buddy. If I don't have a gym buddy, yeah, I'm going to stop going. I'm going to quit that gym and I'm going to save my money. But I would stay for the family if I had a great coach at the gym, if I had a great support system, if I knew if every morning at 6 a.m. I'm there and my crew is there, the same people that are hustling at 6 a.m. are at the gym together, right? I'm going to stay with that gym membership for the family. I can exercise anywhere. I can do like prison exercises in my bedroom if I need to. I don't need a gym to be healthy, but I'm going to go for that family.
Yeah. Now, I want to make sure that we cover all bases and everybody that's listening walks away with clarity, right? So we talked about not to post about yourself and your stuff, but engage people through more organic sort of posts and them questions. But if initially, if nobody's posting anything, like how do you approach that? Can you still have some regularity in bit of a, like I talked about that example of a Facebook group that I was part of, and that did it really well because they did like on Monday, they did like a hand raiser post, which was, hey, we got this really cool thing that we are thinking of, covering later this week that, does, provides this value to your business. Then on Tuesday, do a little case study, like he's Jamie, which is actually tested the thing that we talked about yesterday that we're going to tell you guys about. And then on Wednesday or Thursday, they're like, okay, well, here's a mini webinar, jump on and we'll cover it. And then Friday is basically just following up with everybody that didn't watch it, make sure everybody watches it. So that's what they do every week, and that's like a bit of a flow. So going back to my question on back of this is, if you know, like if you're not really meant to be posting about your stuff, but can you still post something? I'm trying to formulate the question in my head, but I think you know what I'm trying to say, right?
So. Totally. And the answer is the same, both for if you already have an established community and it's awkward and you're trying to shake things up, or if you're just starting a brand new community and you're trying to get it started, because like nobody wants to be the first kid raising their hand in class. Like that's weird, right? Like you'd rather walk into something where it's already active. So the strategy is the same. Is I think some of the best communities I've ever been in, paid ones, the leader never posts. I pay to be in communities with people that are as hungry as I am. And admit it, like, don't we all think it's so funny in the high level communities when people like tag Sean and everyone's like, ha, that's so dumb, right? Like, I would pay for a membership or like, like an inner circle type community. And then I would tag him because I'm paying for it, but I would never have the audacity to do that.
It's funny because last Friday, Ryan from Growthable, he puts together these social hangouts, right? As a bunch of us here from Australia, and it was about 8 of us. And the week prior to that, he says, guys, next week Sean's jumping in. So we did that, and then Sean jumped in for like 10 minutes just to hang out with us, right? And then we started asking him some questions. I asked him something about the ideas board, and he's like, yeah, just here's an email from Melissa, and like here's an email to that guy, like just guys, like I'm just the CEO, but this is a $1 billion company. We've got a lot of people, I don't have time for
this. Totally. Like, so this is how you get people to talk, either when it's quiet or new. Is the best communities I'm in. Like I said, I pay to be in spaces with people that are like me and that are as hungry as me. So you can actually leverage that. So let's say I started a brand new community for chefs. Instead of putting all of my new customers in there and they're all just kind of standing there like being awkward, even if I'm telling them to post, introduce yourselves, and they're like, I don't want to go first. So what I would do is I would call on some other industry experts and bring them in too, because it's a win-win. Number one, my customers get to interact with some of my affiliate network, right? So obviously not your competitors, but like we all help each other. So that's kind of a non-issue. So I would bring Vit into my community because I value him and he has a different skill set than I do. So, and that's a value to my customers, and he can show his expertise to my customers. And obviously I'm not going to let him just like sell, but he gets value and he gets customers just by naturally showing up and showing that he's valuable. So it's win-win-win. So when you bring in a bunch of people, so like I'm going to pool 5 of my top high-level friends and I'm going to put them into my high-level community where I'm bringing my new high-level clients. This is a great example for all of us to follow. So in that case, when, day one, doors are open, all my clients are in and it's kind of quiet, I'm going to send Vit a private message. I'm going to be like, hey, boo, community's brand new. Nobody knows you yet. Would you mind asking a question in this way? And then after Vit posts that question, then I'm going to message Lisa and I'll be like, hey, Lisa, Vit posted this question. Would you mind answering that question? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my friends to model the behavior that I want the members to start emulating. And any community that I've been in, the paid ones, when I first got there, I didn't know who the cool kids were yet, right? I'm new. Mm-hmm. So when I walk in the door and I see people talking, that gives me permission to talk. It gives me permission to ask. And more importantly, it gives me permission to support and to talk. And I feel like, because it's easier to comment on someone else's than it is to post my own. For shy people, I'm not shy. I'm just pretending like I know what it's like to be shy. I don't. But for most people who are just socially like, as I am, like they don't want to post. They would rather, like, oh, okay, this is what I think the answer is. And so you can start poking people on purpose. So like I highly recommend reaching out and asking people to go post instead of you posting, because then people are going to get used to you posting and they're going to start thinking that it's a place for you to post. And then they're going to be confused because you're posting information here, but you're also posting on your Instagram and it turns into a shit show and nobody knows where to look.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah. No, that's a good point. And then a good point on that as well. Like I've just experienced a great community as a program I've been part of. I don't want to like mention it, but basically it was like a cohort, right? So they do these cohorts, right? So I was part of the cohort, which we had like a 4-week ramp up. So the first 4 weeks were intense. I couldn't unfortunately attend the live training because of time zones, whatever. So I would follow the replays, but it's also along with a course. So that's and it's divided up by each week. So you do lessons for that week, and then you're supposed to post the homework for that week into the cohort, right? And that was pretty much the only like a feedback loop for me, to post to homework and then get some feedback in the comments and then see the other ones and like interact with people, right? Now, because I've been late, right, in the cohort, so I probably start like 3 weeks later, so it'd be 7 weeks in, and I'm just wrapping up my week 4, and I'm like about to go to do the final thing, because I mean, I'm OCD. I want to like also like just finish, like get the tick in the box, like submit my homework and like get the feedback from some of the cool guys that I already like interact with, and then suddenly it's disappeared. The cohort, the whole section disappeared. So I submitted the message. I'm like, hey, what? This is weird. Like I'm already a bit frustrated because I cannot, unfortunately, attend the live things. But like, and now, and then said, oh yeah, well the cohort's kind of finished, so we usually archive it. And then and then it's just a regular thing, that like a regular bigger community where you can interact too. But like I've already had a bit of a tribe there, and so
here's a great example of the community manager. The people that are monitoring this community weren't tracking the data. So I personally wouldn't close even a temporary cohort community until I looked at the data and I saw that everyone had completed. And if I saw that was kind of straggling behind, I can also see, oh, he's on the other side of the world. I can reach out. I would ask one of my senior leadership or one of my senior members that's already completed the work. I would buddy them up. There's so many opportunities, again, because I know this data about people. So I can intentionally connect people. And it's not my problem. It's not my fault that Bit lives on the other side of the world, but it is my responsibility to make sure that he feels seen, heard, and loved and is taken care of in the experience, and he gets what he bought. And that's my sass on that situation.
Well, on the plus side, so that was like a bit of a downside of that experience. Everything else has been amazing as part of that particular program. The upside is it was a good follow-up on what you said before. What are the things that you can do to get people to engage? And I think that homework thing is what they do is really good. And you could do that in high level, right? You could do business owners to sign up, and then you might structure it as a do it yourself program, but follow our educational resources and webinars. So follow along, and you might do a webinar about how to configure the automated reputation requests and things like that. Put it as a little lesson, and then hey, record your setup and then post it on this week's post, like so we can all check out your setup, right?
Yeah,
and then comment on it.
And you just sampled a strategic call to action. You're telling people. You don't just open the doors to a community and hope people know what to do. That's weird. You don't invite people to a birthday party and not tell them it's your birthday and what time it starts. That's weird. So I love that example. It's so helpful, and you're connecting people on purpose. You're telling them what to do so they can confidently go do it. And then all of a sudden, boom, they made friends with somebody. It's like, so if you're watching this, I met Vit because I was presenting and he was watching me talk about the same stuff. And when I was presenting, as any presenter would, I was like, hey, put in the chat. Are you a 1, 2, or 3? Do you not have a community yet? Do you have one that's quiet, or do you have one and it's out of control? Those are the 3 situations for any community owner, right? And so boom, 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 right away, I nailed out and I stored that information throughout the presentation. That's my data grid right there. And then I asked, what kind of community? What kind are you a nerd? I remember I asked this on the webinar. I was like, are you guys are you automation nerds, or are you more like influencers? And I let people segment themselves. And I had a data grid in my head that whole presentation. And I was able to call. I'm like, oh my God, Vit, you totally get that. And so people were really engaged because they could see that I was paying attention to them and not me. I was teaching, but I was collecting information and I was acting on the information. That is what humans do when they communicate. When I get introduced to someone, I say, what's your name? And I have ADHD, so I don't usually remember things that I just hear, but I'm just kidding. So, I learned your name. I learned that you're from Australia. So those are 2 things I already know about you. And I'm going to leverage that information to solidify a relationship with you. And I did that in person. You watch me do it, and you can do the same thing in a community. You can literally say, welcome to the community, self-identify, tell them what industry are you in, and say, I'm new here and I hope to learn ABC. And then when Vit goes and posts in my community and self-identifies, I can look up my other members and say, oh my God, Sally, you and Vit are in the same industry, but Sally, you're a level 2 and Vit's a level 1. Can you share some tips for Vit? And boom, now Vit and Sally are friends, and it's not my responsibility to just talk. Because at the end of the day, a community is not about you, it's about them.
Yeah, I love it. So we've covered a lot of ground on this topic. What I've got a whole bunch of questions that are prepared as well as on the back. We haven't had to use them yet, but I'm just looking at those to see if there's anything else that we may want to cover. I mean, I've got from data. We talked about data, personal touch. I don't know. What else do we want to cover on this topic before we move on?
Sure. Yeah. Before we get to your Q&A sesh, which I love that you have that prepared. Love that. Oops, let me hang that one up because my DMD did not work. So the third piece was define, design, and the last piece is deploy, which I'm really not going to harp on y'all because this is a high level show and you all know what I mean. You have to automate the fuck out of it, right? You can't have a consistent and clear onboarding process if you don't have a workflow and tags and identifying, well, someone started, but they never did this and they haven't logged in yet and they haven't really done the thing. That's going to tell you if your communication is clear enough or not. It's going to tell you if it's serving a purpose or not, because if you open the doors to a great community and you have really great systems in place but nobody's participating, maybe you didn't need a community in the first place, or maybe your communication wasn't clear, your calls to action were missing, right? So you have to put all that in place, and automation and AI are like the best things to ever happen to business, right? Because I like to say, and then I didn't make this up, I'm just repeating some other smart people, but automation is not impersonal, it's relationships at scale. So as long as you can automate the same way that you would personally email, be like, oh my God, Vet, thanks for buying my product. What would you actually say to a human? I'm so excited to have you. I want to make sure everyone appreciates you as much as I do. So go over here and do this, and here's the link. And I wouldn't tell you to do something without also including a link and telling you exactly what I want you to do, because that's not clear. It's not great customer service. So just automate your workflows, your onboarding. You probably have automations in place to remind people to show up to your weekly live stream, spice in some calls to action there. You probably have automations to track people as they log in and participate in your course. Add some calls to action in there so that everything that we're talking about, you want to automate. And then the data will just reveal itself. And that's the gift that I'll leave you with at the end of the day today is I'm going to give you guys a free community tracker. It's a pre-formatted spreadsheet that's array formulated, so nothing's going to be messed up or like error out. You just punch in like 3 or 4 numbers and it gives you your retention rates, your churn rates, participation rate, engagement rate. And there's a video that explains what all of those nerdy things are and how you find that data and how you use that sheet. So the data is going to reveal itself when you have your workflows and your implementation knocked out really well.
I love it. Yeah. But let's pitch the offer. I think you want me to pitch it for you?
No, well, I already explained it. So it's a community tracker. It's a spreadsheet. When you get it, it will include a video, and it's just it's that cute little trick where you have a Google sheet and you take the word edit at the end and you replace it with copy. So you just click and you're not going to mess up my template. So you'll just generate your own copy. It's so cute. Automation tricks for the win. And it's highlevelexperience.com/community tracker, one word. So that will take you to the free gift.
So guys, are you ready to transform your community into a measurable growth asset? Visit highlevelexperience.com/community tracker in one word and discover how this tool can revolutionize your approach to community engagement. All thanks to Jade.
Yeah. Okay. Nailed it. Look at that offer, right? And notice how in that little perfect segment you did there, Vit, by the way, nailed it. You told them where to go and what purpose it has, right? This is business best practices. If you're going to have a sales page, you're going to tell them what it's for, what the benefits, what to do, who it's for, how to get it. This is how much it costs, right? Same thing with your community calls to action. You don't open a community without telling people what they should be talking about, when, where, why, and how they should be talking. So that same kind of detail that you do with intention every day in your business, just apply it to the micro environment of your community.
Yeah. You talked about AI, and I just heard an idea. How I don't think I've heard anybody doing it, but you know how you can plug, premium workflow actions, you can plug in stuff into Google Sheets, right? So, and you can leverage data in the database. So what if you could, based on if else conditions, based on a particular data point being valid, do a post that highlights a customer's wins, but do it in a way that it does it in multiples, and it puts it all into a spreadsheet. And then because we can do a CSV bulk upload for Social Planner and we can schedule posts from Social Planner into the group, you could actually then schedule those out to go on once a week or whatever.
Yeah. In fact, I just recently automated something similar in a different community, and this community lives on Slack. And so what I did was every week, every Friday, there's a check-in. So I send a web form saying, hey, it's time for your Friday check-in, because there's a goal setting element to this community. So
all right, so you do those. Okay.
Yeah. So every week they set a goal. We have a meeting, we get together, because the community is for accountability. That's the purpose of that group.
Okay.
And then on Friday, they get an automated email with an automated link to a web form that says, what was your goal and did you achieve it? Yes or no? And then in the workflows, there's conditional formatting in there, and it tags them yes or no, and it sends that data to a spreadsheet. And then I also have a Zap in place that counts how many people, the native digest feature in Zapier. So it's triggered by the yes tag. So if I said yes, that I achieved my goal that week, anybody that said yes within that week triggers the Zap, and they hit the digest feature, so they all kind of pool up there. And then on Friday, it gets released. So on Friday, I have a Zap that goes, congratulations to everybody that achieved their goals this week. And it tags them. And you can do the same thing in your communities. I love that example. And people are like, oh my God, you saw me. You know that I achieved my goal. That's what great community managers do. They track data, and automation is not impersonal. I'm not the one doing that work every week, but I get to go and comment on that post and be like, Vit, you're awesome. That's so cool. And I have the market.
The end experience for them is the same. It's how that's being cooked up, whatever, right? If you're buying a meal in the restaurant, we like to go on that cooking as a segue this today, but it's true, right? If you go in the restaurant, you get a nice meal. You didn't go around to look in the kitchen how they cooked it, right? So experience the same. Okay, I want to segue now and go into high level stuff, but there's one more thing on the topic of communities, and that's with the models. So you've started at the beginning. You mentioned there's different models, right? How you can do the free communities and ascending ladder and whatnot. But now there's also this really amazing partnership with Tony Robbins with the mastermind.com. I think it's mastermind.com, where they partner with HighLevel. I don't know if you guys are aware, but it's basically giving you access to a massive library of different courses, and if you can make your course, your community public, and it can be featured there through the what's that app that they released, the public app for the communities. Anyway, do you know about that?
Mm-mm. I consult on strategy. I do less and less implementation every day because I'm trying to be the influencer here instead of the doer.
Yeah. Well, I guess my question was, what do you find like works as an approach? Is it a better approach to go like public, which is like get a lot of people in for free and then nurture them that way into like a community that's only for customers? Or
Yeah. So the answer to that, and again, is pretty platform agnostic because it's business best practices. But in general, your free stuff needs to serve a purpose. It should provide high value. So that's a really great way you can provide access to this additional material through partnerships or even outside of the high level space. I could, bring Vit into my community and be like, and I also provide a high level expert in this community. Everyone meet Vit, right? So there's a lot of different things you can do to add value. But in the free space, you want to be teaching the what. And in fact, that's why I love speaking. I'll give away all my stuff for free. I'm not going to hold back. What you're going to pay for is the how, is me sitting down with you and us workshopping these details together and overseeing the execution of it. So I'll tell you everything. I'm never going to hold back because it's the what, and the what is free. I could read the entire encyclopedia, but it doesn't make me good at anything, right? So if you want transformation and if you want the how, that's what you pay for. So, I could take all the masterclass. I love masterclass. I've had it for a few years now. I watch it all the time. I could watch all that stuff, but until I take action, until I work with a coach, until I work with a consultant, until I work with a community for accountability, until there's like blood, sweat, and tears put into it, it's just information. And people pay. I will gladly pay. I pay for someone to clean my house because that's valuable to me, right? I'll pay for that. I know how to do it. I don't want to. Right?
Time is money.
Yeah, exactly. So the what is free. I'll tell you literally all my secret sauce, my entire IP, anything that's proprietary, you can have it. But if you want us to do it together, if you want me to hold you accountable and work through the process, and by the way, part of that deploy phase is I give you the entire like job descriptions of what the leader does. So like the influencer or the brand leader, I tell you exactly what the community manager does. I tell you exactly what a community moderator does, and I give you a schedule for their tasks. So it's not just a job description. It's every night you do this, every day you do this, every week you do this, every month you do this, and here's your quarterly meeting agenda so you can review the data and optimize and learn and grow. So not only do my clients get all the information and the execution and it all like dialed in perfectly and full confidence when they walk into their business and do the work, they also have the tools to measure and optimize and grow. So it's not like hope it works. I give them the means to see what's going on so that they can pivot as needed to make sure that the community is effective.
That's great. And obviously, the guys that are listening that want to work with you, they can find out about that on the back of download the community tracker.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely.
That's the loop. Okay, great. All right. Well, this brings us to the next segment of this podcast, of this episode. We got some rapid fire questions, high level software related questions. Are you ready, Jade? Awesome. What about high level originally grabbed your attention? Was there something specific or a problem you were trying to solve?
I mean, let's be honest. We're all in love with the unending list of native integrations. I think people are very overwhelmed and frustrated with growing tech stack. And, every day there's new apps and new tools that you just got to have. And HighLevel is just, it's all housed in one place. It's really helpful.
Yeah. It was about 30. So I was just watching a release radar for last week. There was 30 new updates in just that 1 week.
Yeah. And that's normal.
Yeah. I used to like Sean coming at you. That was used to be my like morning jam, have a coffee and watch all of Sean's videos. Yeah. I no longer have time for those. So I'm really, really grateful for the guys do Ryan and what's his name? Oh, God damn it. I just got to forget. Anyway, those two guys, they put together a compilation of those updates and do one big video for like 10 minutes and just watch that. Yeah. It's really, really good.
That's what everybody needs. They need all the features in one place. And like pre HighLevel, I became like a Zapier expert and Pabbly and Make and trying to make things talk to each other systematically. And this tool over here does this and blah, blah, blah. And it's becoming easier and easier every day.
Yeah. And by the way, I mean, we know this trend in the community in HighLevel, like it's becoming, super low entry. It's becoming a bit of a commodity. If you're just reselling HighLevel, some people, throw it out for dollars and, but the point I'm trying to make is I spoke to somebody yesterday and I said him this straight up. I'm like, yeah, we run Stand Out from the Park. That's the name of our business. We're powered by HighLevel. But, what we do is we provide our own IP, our knowledge and pre-built workflows and automations. We got this thing called the profit roadmap. So we have these modules that are like, and I said to them, but some really cool thing is that when you become a customer of us and you pay, you get this amazing software that's powered by 700 developers working on it day in, day out. There was 13 new releases. And then he goes, oh my God, that's overwhelming, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, that is overwhelming. That's why we don't want you to learn it. That's why we learn it for you.
You're going to pay for the how. And price is only an issue in the absence of value. So, I mean, I'll buy someone's HighLevel for $30, but with nothing in it. Yeah. But I'll buy your shit like locked and loaded to the gills. Yeah. Hell yeah. I'll pay for that all day.
Right. And also, even if we didn't have anything unique, if it was just HighLevel, still, if you could go directly sign up at HighLevel as a business owner, but you haven't been part of it for the last 4 or 5 years, so you have no idea what all the cool new features are, and it's just humanly impossible. That's what we bring it to the table because we've been at it and we eat it for breakfast and we educate ourselves and we stay cutting edge because it's the knowledge of the new releases, new features that allows us to then, suggest enhancements from the underlying business owner. That's unbeatable.
I describe automation as a love language. Like either you speak it or you don't,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of features, is there any like a new HighLevel feature that you are in particularly like super excited using right now?
Yeah, I am loving, and here's this is all going to tie back to community, guys. Like, God, I love this, because community is like it's life, right?
That's your
like
jam.
this whole thing isn't like high level isn't as fun unless you're doing with everybody else, right? So I'm loving watching other people in the communities talk about how they're using the AI and the chat bots, and how they're creating really unique experiences by, pre-programming these conversations with knowledge bases, and like being able to interact with hundreds, thousands of customers using AI and chatting, and like having really emulating human conversations. I mean, let's be honest, AI in general, even outside of high level, like if you're not using it, you're behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the beauty of community and high level combined is that I have preconceived notions in my own personal experiences using AI, but I won't know all the possibilities and the things that I never would have thought of if I wasn't in high level communities, watching other people say and sharing their wins, right? Like, oh my gosh, you guys, I just got 100 new leads in one day because I did A, B, C, D, E. And I'm like, oh my God, now I have a new thing that I can try. And every time I watch other people's ideas, again, things that I never would have thought of, because I'm in communities, that allows me to level up and level up and level up. So it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, big time. Now, so communities is your big fan, big fan of communities right now. That's your jam. What about like a feature that is on the roadmap that you might be aware that you're really excited about getting released? Is there one?
No, I don't. I'm not really forward looking. I'm very I'm a cheerleader and I'm reactive. That's just my personality by nature. In fact, this might surprise y'all to hear, I don't have my own community, because yes, I'm reluctantly stepping into this kind of like influencer space and teaching and kind of like leaning into it very uncomfortably. I mean, yes, I'm social and I love attention, but I like to give attention. I'm a natural cheerleader, both professionally and personally. I'm here, like, please find me, add me on social media, and invite me to your communities. I will cheer for you all day, every day. Tag me in high level, be like, oh my God, Jade, I'm at Jade Olivia. Find me, tag me, and I'll be like, yeah. So I know you're watching the show, right? I want to be there for you. So I'm not really forward looking. I'm very like reactive and going, oh my God, you're amazing. So unfortunately, I don't have a great answer for that one.
That's okay. Well, if you could give one piece of advice to a new high level user to make their life easier when adopting and using high level, what would that be?
Always go places and try to be the dumbest person in the room. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You're not growing, you're not learning new things. If you show up to talk, go find, there's dozens, let's be honest, high level communities. There's the major and official ones that are, the primary channels, but there's new ones popping up that are niched, right?
All the time.
Yeah. So I mean, and join those too, because there's going to be lots of like high level, like app related information I'm going to get in the main communities, but there might be like a high level community experts group someday. I'm going to join the fuck out of that, right? Like, so I want to learn
You
more.
should launch one.
Yeah, I know, I'm too scared. Yeah, so I really, everywhere you go, be the dumbest person in the room, and if you can't find one, buy it. Pay for Vince app, pay for Vince community, buy his stuff, be dumb until you're not dumb, and then once you've leveled up, find another room where you're the dumbest. That's the only way to go up.
Okay. Speaking of my community, we'll talk after this because I've got an idea.
Okay.
Now, Jade, we have also, a high level is behemoth. There's so many really cool things, but as a nature of any software in general, nothing can ever be 100% perfect. It's always about progress, right? Mm-hmm. So this brings me to the ideas board when we want to, suggest a new feature or a feature enhancement because we as users experiencing maybe some little bugs or the UI or the UX is not up to scratch and it could be better, right? So we submit those to the ideas board, hoping that we're going to get some upvotes, and that's how the dev guys, the 700 odd developers, get to see and they prioritize what they're working, right? So that's how that works, right? And if you guys are new and listening right now, if you just sign up to High Level, now it's the ideas.gohighlevel.com website. That's where you can see a roadmap and submit your ideas. Now the problem lies with trying to get more upvotes if you're trying to promote more upvotes, right? Because if you're passionate about that idea, you want to let more people know about it so that they can give you an upvote if they believe that's a valid reason. But you cannot do it in the official high level community group on Facebook. naturally, because if everybody started to do that, it just turned into,
turn
something.
into complaints and I want this and I want that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you mentioned
That's
that
very
it's like,
intentional. I love that.
it's intentionally that way, right? So it's, but how can we still allow you to, like, anyway, I come up with this segment in the podcast called The Beef. And on this segment, The Beef is where we discuss constructive feedback on these features, give you opportunity to highlight an idea that you'd like to get more upvotes on. And this is also for you guys listening. You can do the same just by heading over to highlevelexperiencepodcast.com/the beef. You can actually submit your beef and we'll feature it in an episode. So it's just an audio recording of yourself explaining what it is. Now, back to you, Jay. Do you have a beef?
I do have a beef.
Yeah.
I find one of the least reliable and most needed features is the Facebook lead ads connector.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing it both in public communities and with my own clients and colleagues that it's pretty straightforward. Zapier can do it. If you haven't heard of Plus This yet, by the way, oh my God, you are missing out.
What is that?
Plus, it's called Plus This. It's plusthis.com. Pretty easy. Plus This was born out of a group of developers that were intimately involved with then Infusionsoft, now Keep. And whenever Keep users really wanted some like pretty basic but somewhat fancy functionality, and Keep was too slow to do it, Plus This was like, okay, we'll make it. And so they created this toolkit with over 70 tools to do things that you think Keep should do, but doesn't. So simple stuff. I mean, there's only a few integrations because it's not an integration tool, but it does do stuff like Zoom integration, Calendly, whatever. They're pretty simple stuff. But it does other fancy stuff like, automatically proper casing, people's names. People sign up for your lead magnet and they're like, my name is Jade, all caps. I can bake in a Plus This tool to proper case it with uppercase J, lowercase ADE, or things like transferring fields. I want to make sure that whatever I collected Vit's name as a referral and I want to put it over here and I want to create a contact out of it. Just little fancy tricks that you want to wave a wand and be like, oh, Keep can't do this. Plus This can do it. Plus This recently, I think last year, buddied up with HighLevel and they're like, hey, what are some things that people want now that you're not doing yet? Boom, they can do it. So Plus This, it's a toolkit. They do all the fancy stuff that you want right now that you don't want to wait for.
Right. So this is plugging into the HighLevel's marketplace, and they're basically like premium workflow actions that you install and then you can utilize inside workflows. Yeah.
Okay. I'm the biggest. I'm their partner manager. I'm obsessed with them. I show up to their headquarters all the time. I'm like, hi guys. Like, I'm obsessed with Plus This. They're so cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. We also have a Level Up Marketplace. Rupert and his team, they do the similar thing. So yeah, it's really good to see these developers coming into the marketplace overall, because that allows you a lot of flexibility, whether it's days or that just go to agency level guys and have a look marketplace. You'd be surprised how many really cool apps that you can install. Yeah. And then, like I did it the other day, I built this a lead magnet for my local BNI group, right? BNI. So you are supposed to build trust, right? It's all about building trust, and it's a long-term thing. You're not going to get any referrals initially. You have to, they call it the giver's gain, right? Give. So when I do my initial one-on-one with people to get to know their business, they get to know my business and whatnot. I like to surprise them. I like to create a little digital business card for them. Mm-hmm. And so, created a template page, created a bit of a process, but still it was like 30 minutes it took me to create one. Now I've got it down to like 10 minutes because I've implemented a whole bunch of automations. And one of them that was taking a lot of time was the generation of the V card, the contact file that you can then store and just pops up and save in your phone. So Rupert's got a custom up V card generator, and he just, link up with custom fields and pops your uncle. And then you put the next one, which is generate the QR code, and then like really cool. So they custom apps, premium workflow actions. They just open the world of unlimited possibilities. Is what that is. Yeah.
And having spent a lot of time in the automation space, I find that the hardest thing with any CRM, whether it's Keep or HighLevel, they can only add so many features at a time. But every individual customer kind of has blinders on, and they're like, well, this is what I think it should do right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the person sitting next to them was like, well, no, none of that's true. This is what I think you should do right now. And so it gets a little frustrating because, they could be just like complete opposites and be like, well, no, like everybody needs this. Well, no, everybody needs this. Right. So it's kind of the Wild West out there because literally any small business can use HighLevel. Any small business. And it's so powerful and it's so robust, but also like the way that I use it is so different than the way somebody else uses it. So that's why these communities, again, tying it all back, my friends, are so powerful because it's where we can kind of join together and learn best practices and kind of, take nuggets from other people's stories and ideas. And they're all applicable and shareable when you're in the right place.
Yeah. Jade, on this show, we also have a segment 343, which is sharing a short 60-second inspiring story, 3 of those back to back, to help inspire any other high levelers listening about another fellow high leveler that's doing some amazing stuff. Either they are really great at growing SaaS subscribers, or just like yourself, fostering amazing communities. Do you have a story that you'd like to share about a particular client that you helped with, and the result that what the impact was for them?
Yeah, I will share. I have a friend that's comparable to you that she services agencies, and I'm sure you've seen her. She's like growing as a resource in the community. Her name's Lisa Cotto, and I kind of matured into this community stuff right around the time when HighLevel became very, 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 very popular, a few years ago. And I begrudgingly leaned into it because I was like, oh, I don't want to learn a whole other thing and learn a whole other thing and all new people. I'm already established over here in this community, and it's going to take so long to kind of work my way up and make friends and learn all the things. And at the same time, I was growing into my own expertise in community and, kind of, again, reluctantly trying to be an influencer in this space and making sure everyone understands these philosophies. So Lisa has a whole service where I know that I should have an agency. I think it would be remiss if it would be just so inappropriate if I went out into the world. I'm like, community is the solution. Let me teach you everything and not offer solutions to suit, right? Like that would just be dumb. Like, of course, someone is going to listen to this and be like, oh my God, I need all of that. Well, where do they buy it? So Lisa has a whole service where she's like, you need an agency. We'll do literally everything for you. You just sell it. So they bake in your IP, they build all of the automations that you can create the snapshots out of, as well as the customer service, because the last thing I want to do as I'm growing out of the implementation phase of my consulting in my business, the last thing I want to do is like deal with, oh my gosh, client called me in the middle of the night, their website's down. Like that's just not what I want to be doing anymore. As I grow, I have resources, I have people. So someday, very soon, I'm going to launch my own Go HighLevel agency instead of, I kind of trickled my way in and got my feet wet and met people. The relationships are way more important to me than the technology, by the way. I'm sure you noticed that. But when I'm ready, then I'll tell Lisa and I'll say, here's all the automations, because I'm an automation strategist. I know what I'm doing. I just don't want to do it anymore. So they'll document it all. They'll put it all in. All I have to do is sell it and show up, and just network and be myself and show up on podcasts and teach the stuff and just be passionate about it. And when people want to buy it, I have it, but I didn't really do the heavy lifting. So she has a whole agency service where I think we've seen this a lot in the HighLevel space where people are like, oh my God, someone sold me on this. This should be the best thing ever. But turns out running a business is hard.
Yeah.
A lot of people try it and they just maybe weren't a right fit for it. And they found out how overwhelming it is to run an entire agency. It's a lot of work. In fact, that's why I kind of ended up where I am, because I intentionally never wanted an agency. I literally only do business so I can meet cool people. So
look, and that's such an important point. Like really pick the area of the business activity that you're really passionate about and delegate everything else. Yeah.
100%.
That's something I'm going through as well. Obviously, we're all going through our own
Yeah. I mean,
headspace shit and like figuring this out.
You're not doing it right. So you'll get there.
Yeah. Now, guys, I want more inspiring stories, because inspiring stories is always great to hear. And if you are a high level listening, and look, you don't have to be like the OG that's got a level up award. It could just be a SaaSpreneur that has now just got a bit of traction, or you don't, but you've just done an amazing job for somebody and you want to inspire others, you want to share the story, I would really love for you guys to submit that. So I've made it really easy. If you head over to highlevelexperience.com/your story, all the information is on the page, but in a nutshell, like I said, it's just a small little, it could be a video or just an audio, just selfie style, whatever. And just say, Jimmy Bob from, XYZ agency, we did this, this job for XYZ client. And as a result of, not only we've, tripled or doubled their business, but the husband and wife, the husband no longer has to work a full-time job elsewhere to make the ends. Something like that. If you have something like that, please submit, because we need more of those. We all benefit from listening to these stories.
Yeah. Actually, may I share one more, like, just really beautiful story? It's short. Yeah. So I'd already shared with you guys, I got into space because I was making $12 an hour working in somebody's basement, figuring out how to use Infusionsoft for their business, right? Like, and then I got good at it, so I got certified when my life went to shit. But I will say, I kind of gently touched on this. I was like, whoa, so I like YouTubed it and I bought some courses, right? Well, that was Monkey Pod Marketing. That's Greg Jenkins. It was his business. And I, as one does, you Googled, how the hell do you use this? Stumbled upon his amazing YouTube videos. But my boss bought his course for me. And of course, the retention offer at the end was to buy the Monkey Pod community membership. And my boss wouldn't buy it for me at the time. And I was broke as hell. I was hand to mouth. I had newborn twins. I was so poor. And I still bought that membership anyway, because I was like, there's something here. I want to be with these people. And I joined that community out of my own pocket. It was $35 a month at the time. I didn't even have $35 extra. And then a year later, when I was like, I think I'm good at this now, because of his courses and because of his mentorship and the community, more importantly, because I learned all the cool ideas. I learned how to press the buttons, but the ideas came in from being in the community. And so fast forward to 2020, I quit my job. I sent him an email, because I'm on his email list, right? I sent him an email. I'm like, hey, I've heard that there's a certified partner. You're a certified partner. How do I do this? And, is that something I should pursue? And he was like, hell yeah. And we became friends. And this man is literally walking me down the aisle this year when I get married, because I became his community manager and we became best friends. And that's what community does. Like, if you're like, well, I'm not sure if I need one, it's not that important or whatever. Like, I met my best friends in business online communities. I meet amazing people in HighLevel community every day. I'm a recovering addict, and I would not be alive if it weren't for communities. If I didn't have a place to go every week and stand up and tell my story and not have to explain anything, because in a room where everybody's fucked up, nobody's fucked up. Like, I would be dead if I didn't have communities. I wouldn't have a career. I wouldn't be sitting in front of you today if I didn't have Greg and if I didn't have these community spaces. So be there for people. They deserve it. You deserve it.
Wow. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I'm usually terrible at responding to stuff. I never know what to say to that, but it's just, it's moving. Yeah.
That's why it was good.
Yeah. Well, Jade, we're at the end. I do have 2 tricky questions. Sometimes I don't ask them, but if you like, I can put you on the spot.
Sure.
We're all humans.
Obviously.
We're all humans. No one is perfect. What are you not very good at?
Oh, like I said, I have ADHD. I'm like hyper. I love attention. I'm very creative. And obviously the opposite side of that is I am not at all detail oriented. So that's actually the reason I'm good at automation, because I joke, I'm a professional lazy person. I would never want to do something twice. If I can automate it, I will automate it. And I'd nerd out on spreadsheets. I will spend hours on formulas to solve a problem that I never have to think about again, right? So the thing with that is that, and again, I'm tying it all back to community friends. I alluded to this earlier. There's 3 major roles in a community. There's the leader, the brand, the business owner, the influencer. This would be Vit in this scenario. There's a community manager. If you don't have one and you're ready to hire one, I would highly recommend hiring one of your graduates, like someone who has gone through your customer journey, just like I did for Greg. I was a fantastic community manager because I could speak his brand voice. I learned from him. We had the same values, but I also had my own personality, right? So I could build relationships with people. But the third piece is a moderator. The moderator is like the community project manager and the detail-oriented person. So I desperately need and rely on moderators and communities that I manage, because like I have a worse memory than a goldfish. It's like, in fact, there were probably questions you asked me that I only half-ass answered and then just pretended I segued into something else, because I'm not
you did
I'm
well.
not like, I don't tie things together. So one of the things that I do every night as a community manager is, before I go to bed, the last thing I do is I check the communities that I'm in charge of and make sure all posts that day were acknowledged, right? Like someone asked a question, and what if they did it at like 8:00 at night while I was eating dinner, right? I want to make sure that they got the attention. So I always check every single day. But guess what? Conversations last longer than a day. My memory doesn't last longer than a day, but threads can happen for a while. What if earlier today someone posted and I said, "Oh my God, Vit, what do you think about this?" And I checked that off in my head, boop, done. But a week goes by and Vit, got busy and didn't notice. Then that person got my attention but got ignored. So that's part of my SOPs and the tasks and the calendar that I mentioned earlier, is a moderator checks every week. They do a weekly check. I do a daily check because I'm the one paying attention to people, but my moderator does a weekly check to make sure all the loops are closed long term. The moderator is the one who stores the KPIs in that tracker sheet, so you make sure you collect that. HighLevelExperience.com/community tracker. That is in there, but I don't fill that out because I know that KPIs and data are important, but I automate that so I don't have to think it's important. Someone else plugs in the numbers and they care about it. And like, there's people that love numbers and details. I'm not that person.
Yeah, you do what you best. The rest you delegate.
Yeah.
Nice. Tell me something that's true that almost nobody agrees with you on.
I'm going to repeat myself with my opening, and I will die on this hill, y'all. Stop posting in your community. I pay, and there's other influencers out there, right? Think like Stu McClaren and Amy Porterfield in the small business space, right? I don't go in Stu's free community and expect to talk to Stu. I don't go in Amy's free community and expect to tag Amy P. Like that's just not how the world works. And I go there to learn from other people and their ideas. And other people wouldn't be sharing ideas if they weren't prompted by the strategic thought leader in the first place. So yeah, that's my answer. I'm going to die on this hill. Stop posting in your community. I mean, not stop. I mean, I'm sure there's reasons and, your live streams and reminders and shit like that. But the community is not about you, friends. It is about them. Yep. I will die on that hill.
Okay. That's pretty clear.
Yeah. I'll say it again if I have to.
Awesome. Jade, look, we're at the end. Let's wrap it up. I appreciate you sharing your journey, sharing your wisdom. This has been amazing. Thank you so much. Is there anything you'd like to say just to the listeners before we wrap up?
Yes, I like to say, friends, my first hype is free. So like Vit, you included, anybody listening, if you have a webinar or something and you want me to hop on the chat, I have started businesses in chat. I have made best friends in chat. Chat is where it's at. Like, in fact, I get bummed out. Like when I was presenting, when you met me, Vit, I was a little bummed because I prefer to be like, oh my God, and have like side conversations. ADHD kid in the back of the classroom, like fucking around and not paying attention to the teacher. That's me. But now I get paid to do that. Like I'm a professional community manager and I get paid to socialize. And the more I act like an ADHD asshole on the side, the more money I make. So like the first type of phrase, if you're like promoting something and you want me to post and be like, oh my God, this is so cool. Not only will I do it, I will do it genuinely because that's just who I am.
You're awesome. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. Oh, put this on my page. Guys, add my real Facebook profile, not my business page. I don't give a shit if you follow me. I don't post anyway. I would rather talk to you. So add me on Facebook. Put this link in the show page too. It's facebook.com/Jade O Ramsey. It's my maiden name, Jade O Ramsey. That's my Facebook that I've had since I was in college when Facebook came out. That's how old I am. Add me, like literally just add me as a human. I will respond.
Okay. Talk. No, yeah, we'll definitely put it in the show notes for sure. Yes. So once again, thank you, Jade. Thank you so much. And guys, thank you for listening as well. Thank you for listening to today's episode on the HighLevel Experience. If you've enjoyed today's episode, then please share it with your fellow agency mates and other high levelers that you think would benefit from listening. For show notes, links, and extra tips to help you grow your agency or your SaaS of high level, please go to HighLevelExperience.com. Thank you and have a great rest of your day, everybody.